A year ago, we boarded a plane in Gatwick, heading for Norman Manley International Airport. And a year later, we are still here in Jamaica. How has the journey been? Let's jump into it now.
Jam from family, the Jam from family, yeah. Jam fam, come hang with me.
Hello, Wagwan. Big up yourself, whether you're there yard or you're there abroad. Welcome back to another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be looking at 1 year on in Jamaica and how has the transition been as repats coming back to live in Jamaica. So first of all, we're going to start off with the pros of moving to Jamaica. So my pros are being able to go at my own pace, pretty much, on the days of the week. The other pro is the fact that I can have access to healthy, nutritious, fresh food right from the place, the source. And the other one is just the lovely sunshine, nice atmosphere, and just the greenery and the different places that you can go for an escape in terms of leisure activity. Those are some of the things that I find really rewarding in moving back to Jamaica. It gives you a sense of grounding, to be able to find a better mind, clearer mind, so to have a little bit more clarity in order to decipher how you're going to move forwards and the journeys that you can therefore take from this point. It's taught me a little bit more of the need to pivot and to just take it slower, and also to be able to adapt to a new pace of life in different circumstances where I just want it to be rushed and I want to just have my convenience of getting what I need done within the time frame that I've set out. And Madam Eliona, what are some of your pros having moved to Jamaica from the UK?
My pros are food.
What about the food?
I like some of the food.
You like?
I like some of the food, and I like the houses.
Oh, what do you like about the houses?
That they're not too much. That they're like mansions, but even though basically no one lives in them.
Okay.
That's cool.
I like the fact that they're unique. Although in some housing developments you do find where you have houses that are duplicates of each other, but majority of them tend to be more unique.
But then the house uniqueness could also be a problem. There are pros and cons to the uniqueness of the houses.
Okay. Well, I guess that is true. Everything have a caveat, so that has its. And what else do you find as a pro having moved?
That's it.
Okay, so how do you find being able to go on holiday? Is it any different?
As in the UK?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's different?
The places that, like the places that we go and where we stay over.
Okay, so that's a bit of a difference?
Because normally we would fly out, we would go to like an all-inclusive hotel and then all the activities would be in there. But here we drive to different places each time, and then we stay at friends or family friends' houses
Or
hotels. But yeah.
So it's a bit different because of those things. But how do you find it? Is it better,
I prefer
worse, or about the same?
I prefer just flying out and having an all-inclusive.
I think I knew that you would prefer that too. So any other pros you wanted to talk about?
No.
Okay, so some of the cons that we have. So for me, one of the cons is waking up to lawnmower. I'm like, that's like a buzzing sound. You know how we always talk about a hummingbird? One of the buzzing sounds that you hear in Jamaica is either the lawnmower or the weed whacker, and more so the weed whacker. It's just constantly buzzing because people are just constantly having to cut back their garden space. And right now we can hear somebody over the way cutting theirs back in our neighborhood where we live. And so that's one of the things when that wakes you up early in the morning, because Jamaicans are early risers, and so they get up early, get what they need to get done before the sun gets into its element, and that can sometimes be a little bit of a bother. The other thing that I find as a in the same realm with the noise, and I think I've spoken about this before, is the trucks and the bikes, because they're just so loud. They don't have the silencers on their mufflers, and so you can hear them. Oh, is that for repairs? Oh yeah, and
the knocking on the metal zinc.
The fact that people are repairing, whether it's on zinc or wood or wherever, because we would have known, and maybe it's also because we would have known in the UK that construction is going to be happening.
Most likely knock on our door and tell us.
Yeah, or we would see the notice coming to the post or things like that. And also, it's probably because as well we are home, so we get to hear it more in the day because I'm home in the days, whereas before I would be out and at work in the UK because I would work away from home then. So that's sort of one of my biggest thing. The other problem I have that I find that I still haven't gotten around to adjusting to is the bank situation and the cash point. That's just something that it's a struggle to get used to. Because you want to turn up to a cash point and you want to be able to access your money, and you turn up to the bank, the cash point outside is broken, there is a long queue going inside, and then before you know it, weekend will come, nobody can get into the bank and you won't be able to access your money. So if you're not one who is being very careful about how you make sure that you have cash to spend, where a lot of the places you go you will need to spend cash, that can become a problem in terms of getting things that you need and getting on. One of the other issues I have also are finding challenging, and I'm working around. I think I'm getting a lot better at just adjusting to that. And no, it's not just Jamaica. I hear people who've moved to Portugal and other places like that have similar things to say about the level of bureaucracy that they experience there. But that's one of my things, because when you do want to get stuff, it's all of these papers that you have to provide that you don't really need, because you're duplicating the provisions of them, and also the length of time that it takes to get it done. The other thing too is, of course, certain things here is relatively expensive in terms of the shopping when we go to the shops to buy certain things. Comparably, some things can be more expensive, and especially if you go to supermarkets to get them. So that's something as well, just to manage and to see where we're buying different things from, just like we would have done in the UK, to source them so that we're maximizing what we're getting with the money that we're spending. What are some of yours that you find?
Impatience.
Is that something you've developed or something you've noticed?
Developed and noticed.
Okay. So you both develop it now. You found that you've become a little bit more impatient, and you've seen a lot of impatience when you're out. I mean, we were driving the other day and the light just changed, and the person ahead haven't really moved yet because the light has just changed, and people behind were already tooting because they needed to go. It's things like that. Or I was turning just recently into a shopping center area, and the person who was driving ahead of me had turned into the wrong place, so they had to reverse, and then they needed to get their position correct to then go into the right side. And so somebody was directing them from the other side, explaining to them how they need to get in, and it seems like it was an American. And of course, because afterwards when we spoke, because we were both going to the same shopping mall and we spoke, I could sense from their accent that they're from America. And so, of course, they're used to driving on the right side. So it's she's turning and she was going in on the right instead of on the left. And so I had to be patient to wait for her to come out. And here was this person tooting and carrying on just because they didn't have an idea what was happening. Somebody else was even coming up on undertaking me on the left to try and see if they could go in, when all we were doing was trying to be patient and let the other person do their maneuver so they can get to where they're going. So I do understand the impatience. You see it quite considerably. And I find it fascinating that they're being impatient, and yet people will stand up in a line for hours waiting to get somewhere without asking any questions. But then in another setting, they're being mega impatient. What else is yours?
School rules.
School rules. Okay, so what is it about them that makes them cons?
Like specific, like basically, in my old school, we had more freedom of like choice and to like speak.
Mm-hmm.
And like you could put your hand up and stuff, but in my school, some teachers don't want to see any hands and they don't want to hear anything unless they're being called on.
Okay.
Unless they get called on, and that we can't do specific things because
can't.
Yeah, just can't.
So, for example, the extensions.
I can't wear extensions. I can't wear earrings. I get the nail polish because I wasn't allowed to wear that in my old school.
Yeah. So those are just some of the things that we never. And the hair. The reason for the hair is because they don't want to be. They don't want
us
them
to be adults fast.
to grow up fast.
You know, that's why we're at school to grow up.
And I never quite see how that makes them grown.
Because they allow us to cream our hair, which makes it drop out, and it's just unhealthy. But we can't put our hair into a protective hairstyle to grow it out. And socks, because on my first day I was wearing my socks, and apparently it was like a quarter of an inch shorter than it's supposed to be. So obviously I got reprimanded about that.
So that was a problem. And the reality is we have to now get socks that are long, but you can't wear them long. You have to then cuff them and roll them down. It just
looks wrong.
and it doesn't make sense. But of course, it's the school rules.
And
so.
at my old school, they didn't really care what kind of socks you wore as long as it was black.
And some schools do say you can wear black or white, and they say how, but it's what it is. I never get the fact that the region of the country that we're in, and they're insisting on white socks, because
especially in Jamaica when there's red dirt everywhere. When you have to go home and wash it, then they complain when you come to school with pink socks. You have to explain about the red dirt, then they say that you're backtracking to them, and it just gets into a whole problem. I can't believe it.
Okay, so it's the way in which their system is. So you need to not. You can't. You don't feel you can explain yourself. They say something, but you don't feel you get the chance.
And then when I don't say anything, they say I'm ignoring them. And when I say something, they say I'm backtracking them.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
So most of the time, I don't even know what to do. I just stand there.
Yeah, and then they say you're not interacting. But it's.
And then when I interact, they say that I'm not supposed to be doing that.
But I think it will get better. Any other cons?
I think the extreme expletives around children, especially in school.
Yeah, and I think you're walking down the road and you just hear them. And for me also, to add to the expletives in terms of conversation when people are just having it on the street, it's also the music, the vulgarity of the music that they just play anywhere.
I know it's like one of the national music, but it doesn't mean that we have to be hearing that specific one because they have lots of that.
And they could play cleaner versions, couldn't they?
Yeah, there are clean versions, so they could just play that.
I know, especially in public, maybe there should be a law for that they can only play those lewd ones in dance and clubs, maybe. Because then children are being exposed to that when it's being played on a public street or shopping centre, for example. And you said the other one you just said?
The news. Because the news is very... Even I don't really have a problem with those, like,
the
gory, graphic, blood, all those kind of things, because that doesn't really scare me that much. But for little children, when they hear this man got shot here, this man got flung here, this man did this here, and this man did this here. And in taxis too, when they talk about it. I was in a taxi and someone was looking at this video when there was a car crash, and they filmed it when the man was flung out of the car and had blood on him, and there was lots of kids in the back also watching it. And I think that was very unnecessary and could have waited for it.
Yeah, they could have. So the graphicness of the news, when they are telling it, they are not considering the impact that it could have on the psychology of children. And I do agree with you about the bit, because here they are watching it in a public space. They're watching private content that children should not be exposed to, and they could have just waited until they got home, or they could have used earphones. That's another thing that I find that's just aggravating and frustrating. However, in spite of the pros and the cons, I believe that so far, a year on, we've settled in. We haven't left the island to go anywhere else, and we've managed to get around and have lots of fun and do a lot of things like that. I mean, we had a car for the summer, but come September we won't. But it's fine. We will adjust and get vehicle when we need the vehicle, because in the week we don't really have that much need for it. We do need it on the weekends to be able to go to places and things like that, and we will get to that as we progress through our time. But it's been a year. It's been a roller coaster of a year, I would say, in terms of the move, adjusting, acclimatizing, adapting, pivoting, and doing all of those good things that we need to do sometimes in order to curate the life that we want to live. And we're looking forward to this second year in Jamaica, and we're looking for it to only be better and get better for us as we go through it. So what's this you guys made for breakfast?
Corn dogs, and it was very painful.
What, making it?
I burnt myself 5 times in the same spot.
How did you find the making process, Keisha?
It was hard.
It was? Will you make it another time?
Yeah.
Would you make it on your own when you go back home? Okay, we'll see. And when you do, you need to let us know. So have you guys tasted it yet?
No.
So do you want to have a go at tasting your product to see how it works? If it's what you had envisaged? Do you want to explain what you mean about Korean hot dog? Or is it corn dog?
Corn.
Oh, Korean corn dog. So, what does it entail?
What's in it? Sausage, cheese, and butter.
Okay. So, how do you guys do it? Do you want to say what you did, Keisha?
We put the sausage and the cheese on the skewers, and then we coated them in flour and dipped in the butter and put in the pot.
Okay. And does it taste like normal corn dog?
I've never had a normal corn dog.
Oh.
Because they're all pork.
Oh. That's about why. So, how did you make the batter?
Flour, baking powder, sugar, salt, and egg, and milk.
Okay. Well, it seems like you guys, Kale liked it. He actually enjoyed it, and I liked the one that I tasted. So I definitely, you made it before, yeah. So it was good to have it again. How do you think the process went this time compared to your last one?
But I preferred the first time.
You preferred what? How it tasted the first time?
No, because some of the bits fell off the stick.
Okay. Is that when you're putting it in?
Yeah, this time. It didn't happen as much time as the last time.
Okay. That's fine. So have you looked at how you will perfect that for next time then? To avoid that
I
happening?
only used thicker pieces of cheese because some of them were too thin.
Okay. Well, there you go. The experience, and you've already found a fix for it. And Keisha, did you get the recipe for when you're going to make it when you go home? Awesome. Well, I'll leave you to enjoy your meal.
The Jam Fam family. We're Irie, living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. Jam Fam, come hang with me.
Anything else you wanted to say?
Bye for now.
Bye for now. We'll see you in the next one.